What up, you guys? Day 12 of 365 days till I open up a comic book retail space. And today I want to talk about Area 51 and Modesto Comics. They are by far the closest comic book / collectible store near me. They were right next to each other, and I guess when I wasn't looking, they closed down. I saw that Modesto Comics in February announced their last day, and then that last day came and went and it was gone. And Area 51, I didn't really see much information on it other than it's also permanently closed. I'm not sure what occurred there. I might try to reach out to them to see whether or not I can get the full story on it, as well as just to ask some general questions about their experience running a toys and collectible and trading card location in Area 51, as well as a comic book shop, Modesto Comics. It would be interesting to hear their first-hand accounts and what they felt and saw. That's something that I am going to put on the table and try to see whether or not, if I reach out, generally speaking, whether or not there's a want for that. It obviously can't be easy to talk to someone about their business that went belly up. That can't be easy at all. What that made me think of was this experience that I had with Dirt Dog. When we opened the first Dirt Dog location, we took that space over from a business that had been there for a while called 2 for 1 Pizza. And 2 for 1 Pizza was doing fairly well, nothing too crazy, but definitely weren't belly up. And ultimately what occurred in this situation was that the owners of the space, of the property, decided to increase the rent. And when they increased the rent, 2 for 1 couldn't pay that, and hence we came in and took it over and opened up Dirt Dog. Years later, Dirt Dog, they reached out to me recently because the original location that I opened closed, and it was over the same pretense. Ultimately, the property managers informed them that the owner was raising the rent by X amount, and it just wasn't feasible for Dirt Dog to stay open, and so then they left. Usually in a recession, this is less likely to happen, and that's why I thought this is that time for me to open up a retail space, because usually during a recession, there's less demand for retail spaces, there's less demand for commercial spaces, and because there's less demand, a lot of times you're able to get a contract and get grandfathered in for 5-10 years at a reasonable price that otherwise you wouldn't have gotten. And so that's kind of some of the thoughts that were in my head when I was like, this is that time, like I need to jump into it. But sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get there. The other thing that I've seen a lot of times in this business kind of atmosphere is that property managers and owners of like these retail spaces that they rent out, they get greedy, and so they try to extract more income out of few tenants. But obviously that's not sustainable either. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction that they fall into because they don't know what else to do to maintain their thing afloat. And that's the problem that a lot of places have, and that's why it all kind of compounds upon each other, right? For instance, if the property manager still has a mortgage, right, and still has to pay a mortgage, or the property tax is so high that they need their tenants to pay it for them, it doesn't help them if it's vacant, right? And in that situation, they're willing to take anything, because even if they have to take a hit, they'd rather take a 20% hit, not a 100% hit, right? But in times where the economy is good, they're thinking like they can extract as much as they want because there's a never-ending stream of people trying to open up a retail space. I don't think that's going to be the case moving forward. My plan is to open up the retail space, but to kind of like really push through the dread of it all into, the future where, I think it might look pretty damn good. The other thing that I am betting on is that a lot of comic book shops, a lot of retail spaces just aren't running the shop well. So I think that there's a lot of money that's been left on the table by a lot of these businesses, and I won't leave that money on the table. And then the third thing that's really pushing me forward with this idea is also, I think that a lot of people are becoming more conscious consumers, and they really want to know where they're putting their money into. So same thing with Dirt Dog, this idea that like, when you put your money into Dirt Dog, Dirt Dog's reinvesting that money into Los Angeles, that there's a commitment to the Los Angeles community. It was something that I was key on. It was part of the brand for Dirt Dog. And, I'm not a part of Dirt Dog anymore, so I don't know whether or not that's still something that they hold true to. But it's the idea that that's also what I kind of want to do through the establishment that I'm opening, right? Is this idea that, like, when you're investing in this, know that this is an investment in the community overall. And that it's going to pay itself forward to the community in the long run. And so that's kind of what I'm up to. And like I said, again, during times of recession, during times of economic uncertainty, a lot of times these retail spaces do get dirt cheap. But that's why I'm also trying to build up the online apparatus, because I want to couple the online apparatus with the brick and mortar and really merge them together so that I'm never just cornered into one situation, but rather have different streams where I can always get a drink of water when I'm thirsty. You know what I mean? But alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, there will be a link in the show notes to feralpublication.com where you guys can pick up some of the funny humor comics that we make, as well as other merch, right, like buttons, stickers, t-shirts. Beyond that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell people what we're up to. Keep helping us build this thing up. Alright, guys, lates.